happening. As far as Rutherford County is concerned this evening, there's also a meeting over in Warren County dealing with the solid waste issue, and some of the individuals have gone there. Good to see these commissioners have come forward tonight. We got some budgets to go over. We begin the meeting with approval of our minutes. I think you all have received those through our SharePoint. Do we have a motion to approve our minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I've read the minutes and move to approve as submitted.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second over here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes have been approved. We're going to change the agenda a little bit tonight due to the fact that we're going to place those who have budget reports. We're going to move those down to the bottom. Those who have already gone through their budget, we're going to move those to the bottom. But we will start off with the Correctional Work Center report with Superintendent Cope.
Afternoon. I'll try to keep this pretty brief because of threats from Lynn Duke. But start off with our work center minutes from April 4th, 2022. Take a look over that. Next would be our work release program. It seems to be going pretty well too. No significant changes. Next, our yearly activity report. Our population staying about the same. And trash collection for this month. County roads, county trash collected 13,260 pounds of garbage. And then on the state routes, including interstates, 546 bags were collected. And none of that involves the large bulk items that we pick up throughout the month. So that seems to be quite a bit too. And that is our report.
Any questions on the report?
Motion to approve the report, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to approve. Commissioner P, do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Commissioner Sereno. All those in favor of the report say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Approved. Thank you, sir. We'll now drop down to number 6, which now has become, I think, number 3 on the agenda, and our PAWS report. All of you are going to have to stay alert out there to see when you're going to come up when your name's called.
All right, you've got the March report before you. We had 447 animals come into the shelter, 461 that left back out. We had a live release rate for our dogs of 89.2%, cats of 97.4%, and overall 91.2%. Our officers completed out 1,836 calls for the month, traveling 11,350 miles. Fiscal year to date, 4,232 animals into the shelter, a live release rate of 92.7%. Our officers completed a little over 14,000 calls, traveling 96,316 miles. Our rabies and bite exposure report, you can see that for March we had 40 bites reported. 3 of those were tested, none came back positive. We had 7 other exposures. 1 of those was sent for testing. It did come back positive. It was a skunk that some canines had killed. Last page of the report is the visual graph, just showing the live outcome versus euthanasia rates. And then I had put on your desk, just for your information only, the changes that you all had made at the commission meeting the other night by changing those positions from part-time to full-time. You have an updated copy of my budget just for your information. I wanted to make sure you had all the figures that you needed. And that is my report, sir.
Questions on the report?
Move to approve.
Motion approved. Mr. Gurley. Have a second?
Second.
Second. Commissioner Rather. All those in favor of the report say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? report is approved. I believe you have 2 budget amendments.
There's only one budget amendment. The other one was able to be transferred because it was $1,000 or less. What we're bringing to you tonight is asking to move money from our veterinary services line item over to our gasoline line item to try to get through the end of the fiscal year.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the request.
Second.
Have the second. Secretary, call the roll, please.
Commissioner P.,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Approved.
One more short thing, if I may. You had asked me at last month's meeting to do some research on dead large animal removal due to all around underground, not going to continue that past June 30th. I was reached out to the South Central Development District that's over there in Murray County, and they had sent out a letter to the county mayor, and he sent a letter of intent back to them. It looks like they have someone that may have some interest in picking that up, so everything is on hold right now, hoping that we'll be able to continue that service after that June 30th deadline.
How soon will you know?
They didn't indicate that. The letters of intent were due back a week ago today. So right now, everything's a little bit on hold. I'll reach back out to them. What they were gathering all those letters of intent to make sure they had enough folks that this company would still be interested. That's all the details that I've been provided at this point.
And have we sent a letter of intent ourselves?
Yes, Mayor Ketchern, through Rachel, a letter was sent.
Yes,
Yes.
I've talked to the mayor, and that letter of intent has been sent.
Yes, sir.
All right. Some of you may not realize the number that we have. It's figured somewhere around 500, I think is.
I haven't been able to get anybody to provide the figures to me yet.
I saw this out of a report they did over there.
Okay.
They come from the
Okay.
company, and that's what they were showing. And that's not this year, but that was, I think, last year and the year prior to that. I don't know how many of you get calls on that, but I sure do, especially if they don't show up on time.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so that's pretty big for the county. And if that goes away, that's something we really got to find. But the letter of intent was, I think it was sent the 13th. It was due in the 15th.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I asked OSHA now. Elam. Thank you, sir.
Good to see you. Good evening. The OSHA report for the month of March 2022. For total of incident frequency for the month of March was 12. Year to date, you have a total of 45. OSHA log summary, total recordables 34. Restricted day claims 13. Lost day claims 4. Other recordables 17. Year-to-date for 2022, on the next page, on-the-job injury claims, 45. On the next page, on-the-job injury incurred dollars, you have for 2022, $160,000. And on the last page, you have cause of injury. You had Board of Education had 9, County General had 3, and out of that County General, 2 was the sheriff and 1 was fire and rescue, for a total of 3 for the county. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Questions on the report? Not, do we have a motion to approve the report?
I move to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Commissioner Sereno, have a second.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Rather. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Report is approved.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
Have a good evening.
Yes, sir. Recovery Court report. Janet? Okay.
Good evening, I'm Janet Mattingly. I'm here for Trish. I'm clinical supervisor with the Recovery Courts program. You should have our outcomes and measures in your device. And if you'll look at our new participants for the month of March, we had 5 new participants, bringing us to a total of current 142. And terminations, we had 5 successful terminations, people who completed our program, and we had 5 that unsuccessfully exited the program, with a total exit of participants at 4 that unsuccessfully terminated. That gives us a total of 9 terminations. Are there any questions on our report?
Questions? Not, do we have approval of the report?
Motion to approve the report, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Commissioner P. makes the motion to approve. Commissioner Gurley seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Report is approved.
Thank you. And while I have this opportunity, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
The Recovery Court Foundation is having their inaugural breakfast fundraiser. I wanted to make sure everyone was invited. It's this Friday, April 29th, 7 to 8 a.m. at the Fountains on Medical Center Parkway here in Murfreesboro. We'll be honoring Mary Schneider, David M. Bragg, Don R. Ash, and Ben Hall McFarland Jr. I also wanted to invite you to our drug court graduation, which is Monday, May 16th at 10:30 a.m. in courtroom 6A. That's Judge Turner's courtroom. We will have 8 clients graduating the drug court program and their families, and the Tennessee Supreme Court Justice Jeff Blevins will be attending, and we'd love to have you there. And sure, Monday, May 16th at 10:30 a.m. Yes, sir, in the Judicial Center, courtroom 6A. And there will be invitations going out as well. As the clinical supervisor, I just wanted to take this opportunity to share a little bit with y'all about our clinical team. We have 3 licensed mental health counselors and 3 licensed drug and alcohol counselors and an occupational therapist. Our clinical team sees clients individually as well as provides 40 to 60 hours of group therapy each week. The clinical team also provides education to our team members on mental health disorders and substance use treatments. We have an excellent team. They strive to follow their ethics, and they are very passionate about what they do. Through their hard work, lives are being changed in our community, and I just want to share that with you. Thank you, and hope to see y'all next Friday, or this coming Friday. Man, time goes by fast. And we'll see you in May at graduation. Thank you.
Thank you. Probation report. Evening.
Good evening. Our March report for the probation department, we closed out a total of 154 cases in the month of March. That equaled out to be 129 people. We currently have, or had during the month of March, 1,098 people on probation with us. We had a total number of 89 participants in our programs. We had 26 of those complete those programs successfully. We had 4 that were discharged unsuccessfully during the month. Also, through our Olive Branch program, we were able to assist 15 individuals. 15 of those 16 were homeless, and one of those had fallen on hardship or had just been released. Our total revenue for the month of March equaled out to be $23,419.42, with the difference with our expenditures for the month equaling out to be $97,762.09. The total amount of probation fees that was turned over to the clerk's office to be collected for the month of March equaled out to be $8,416. The total amount of those that failed to enter a payment agreement, the probation fees for those equaled out to be $4,631.50. So far this fiscal year, we have turned over $67,579.95 to the clerk's office to be collected on our behalf. And then so far this fiscal year, those that have failed to enter payment agreements, their probation equaled out to be $40,927.45. And to date, we have 13 individuals that have been deemed indigent by our courts. And that would conclude my report.
Any questions anyone may have? We have a motion.
Motion to approve the report, Mr. Chairman.
Approved, Commissioner P.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Sereno. All those in favor of the report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Report is approved. Thank you.
Also, one other thing, I plan to fine-tune the recidivism report. So it's completed, but I'm going to clean it up to where it's more presentable, so I'll bring that forward next month for you guys.
Thank you. All right, now we go back up to number 3, Juvenile Detention Report and Budget.
Good evening. I will start with our report information for the month of March. I can tell you that the Montgomery bill has come in today, and so there is no one that is currently owing for detention beds. The rest of the report is I don't know that there's anything that stands out to me, but if you have any questions regarding any of the information contained in it, I will happily answer those questions.
Questions anyone may have on the report? I've got one question. Rutherford County bed days.
Yes.
Since July was running 359, August 338, September 401, October 365, then all of a sudden November 271, December 188, and these are Rutherford County days. January 141, February 128, now March 135. Does it seem to increase in number towards the fall, winter, or?
The bed days are calculated on the young people who are detained and booked into the facility, and those numbers are directly proportional to the charges that the kids have and how the magistrates decide to handle detention or release issues. As far as the statistics that you're seeing, generally when school is in session and the kids are around SROs and have more eyes on them, yes, our numbers do tend to go up, but it's just like anything else. We ebb and we tide. But as far as the charges that are being brought in and those young people who are being ordered to remain until the court date, that's completely up to the magistrates.
Okay, I was just interested in the fact that the numbers dropped by quite a bit there and then seem to stay at that amount, and I just want to see if there's some type of answer or something I was missing there. So, any other questions anybody might have? Have a motion to approve, or?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved. Commissioner Gurley, have a second? Second. Commissioner Rather. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. I believe you have your budget tonight, I believe.
I do.
Okay.
So just to kind of recap, we were asked to provide a wants and a needs budget. The numbers that you have in front of you are just a needs budget. The bottom line is that it's slightly less than it was last year. This budget does not include any of the potential salary increases. The numbers that we're using in this budget are the numbers that were provided by Finance. If you would like for me to go line by line, I will, or I can just discuss the ones that have had significant change, and I would handle that however you would like.
What's the wishes of the committee?
I'd just soon see the significant changes myself.
Okay.
Overall, from what I'm seeing, looks pretty well continuation, as you stated. So.
Yes, sir. The one thing that I had to look at a little longer than the other is salary related, but I do think it warrants pointing out. In line item 115, which is our sergeants, that number decreased because there is one less sergeant than there once was, whereas line item 164, which in our case is our full-time juvenile detention officers, that increased, and that's because we took that decrease from our sergeant line item and rolled that into juvenile detention officers. So that is the difference in those two line items, although that's salary related. Let's see. Most everything that you are seeing is just a small increase for annual service charges or maintenance agreements. If y'all see something that stands out to you that may not stand out to me, please let me know. I do want to, at some point, circle back and talk about 317, and which is our data processing services that relates to, let me find it. .334, which is maintenance agreements. I think really, besides the fact that our medical services has gone up a little bit through a contract that was just approved through purchasing, really everything else is either the same, has just a minor increase, or is less. But I would like to talk about the two line items that I just pointed out, and it's data processing and maintenance agreement. We currently, in our maintenance agreement line item, which again is 334, we pay 2 or 3 things out of this line item. The big ticket item is, oh, wait a minute, I might be giving you the wrong one. That's Stanley. I'm sorry.
You did mention Dr. Rudd's, and you said that was bid out.
Yes, that just recently went through purchasing. Dr. Rudd was the bid that was accepted by the county. All three correctional departments are using Dr. Rudd, and for what his bid was and what he's offering, I don't know that anybody would have been able to come close to beating his bid, and the county has gone again with Dr. Rudd. But we are currently, the thing that I wanted to talk about was we are currently using a software system that is over 20 years old. It's called SoftTech. Our maintenance agreement for SoftTech is in that line item 317. There's a new system that I would very much like to consider becoming involved with it. It's the one that the Correctional Work Center uses. It's Jail Tracker. The difference in this year's budget versus last year's is a little less than $30,000. And to begin using Jail Tracker would be an additional $28,000. So it's still almost a continuation budget. The annual service fee is actually, the support fee is less than this 20-year-old system that we're currently using. The statistics that this older software provides has been problematic not only for Rutherford County but for other counties that have been using it. It's caused some reporting errors, and this older company is currently requiring resources that are no longer supported through Microsoft. So Jail Tracker is up to date. It's something that is used throughout the country. It's very popular. It would consolidate all of the systems that we're currently using into one. It's going to be easier to train our folks on. It's going to be easier to keep up with. The statistics are going to be much better than what we currently have. OIT knows that we're considering doing this. They are fans of Jail Tracker. They have told me that they're very easy. The company is very easy to work with. Excuse me. So as far as our department's wants budget, it would include an additional $28,000 for this new jail management software system. And it would not, like I said, the support fee would actually go down on that. I don't know if you want any more information on this particular software or why it would be a wise thing to change, but that's really the only thing that we would want. We don't have to have it this year. It's something that I will continue to ask for at this point from here on out, honestly. And then I think it's everybody is doing this, but also our wants budget. I would hope that our part-time employees would have the same increase as full-time, percentage-wise, as full-time employees in the event that those salary changes do come to fruition.
The salaries that you've got in your budget, are they what Lisa's giving you to work with? Or?
Yes, it's no new money. It's just as status quo. And if you have questions, I'll happily answer them.
Move to approve the status quo budget as presented and forward on to budget for their purview.
Second.
Okay, motion made to approve, Commissioner Gurley. Second, Commissioner P. Further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Cerino,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Mr. P,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Send this on to budget.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move now into Public Safety Director. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman, Committee. First of all is our Public Safety Report from March 22nd to April the 18th. A couple of items that I'd like to point out is that we had a tanker to overturn on I-24 near the Nashville-Rutherford County line. Kind of challenging, but we had a lot of mutual aid assistance from Nashville, also from Laverne, Smyrna, and Rutherford County. And everybody worked really well together. We were able to contain that spill, and they're still trying to clean some of that up today. EPA was on the scene, and several other three-letter initials. So we were very fortunate that nobody was really hurt. We've also supported law enforcement with some PAWS messages here recently, searching for a fugitive and also searching for lost persons. And then several other training events that's occurred. I'd like to point out that our communication center has handled 5,297 calls this month, with 1,107 of those being 911 calls. And then RCMS and Rutherford County Fire, as you can see, 2,641 calls for service. There's several good things going on there at the Communications Center. We hope to have a new SOG that will come through your committee by next month. That'll hopefully guide. That's the first time it's been updated since about '09. We've also are fixing to purchase what's called Epcoat and Telecom, which are basically, it's their flip cards that they talk to the caller, that they flip manually. It will be on their computer and it will launch into the CAD. And then we've got several other things that, talking with mission critical partners to be proactive in our growth that's coming through our emergency communications ECD 911. So they're great partners to have. And then also the radio. My radio guy is not here tonight. He's out training volunteer firemen on the radio system. So entertain any questions concerning the reports or the radio.
I see you have the field service position. Apparently Motorola's assigned someone.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bob Undergraf is our FSO. They're still out there hunting for that full-time guy, but yes, Mr. Bob, which is very acquainted with our
very
system.
knowledgeable.
He's very knowledgeable.
I've known him
so
for
we're
many,
blessed
many
to have
years.
him. He's been kind of tied up at Murfreesboro trying to get them on their feet and getting them things moving, and as soon as he can get that done, then hopefully we can entertain.
So he is acting as an interim for the time
Absolutely.
being.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's a
Mr.
great
Bob
guy.
is wonderful. And that's my report.
Okay, sir. Any questions on the report? Not. Do we have a motion to approve the report?
Can I ask a question
You
real
may.
quick? Looking at the 8,800 gallons of fuel spilled on the interstate, 200 was spilled, like a tanker wrecked or something. There was another 200. Then we saw on the news not long ago where a train, not here, hit a tanker.
Same company.
Same company. My question is this: heaven forbid this ever happen. Don't recall it ever happening here. Hope it stays that way. If there was some catastrophic event like that, where there were multiple fatalities, what do we do?
Well, I'd call Miss Denise and I'd call Mr. Carl Hudgens to work out a plan, and that's been something that we've been over the years have had difficulties with decedents. You know, as we saw in COVID and the trailers.
That's my thing. I think the mayor purchased a couple trailers.
Correct.
Did we not donate one to Second Harvest or something? How many would one trailer hold?
During COVID, we had arranged shelving in there. Let me make this statement. I hope we never put, like Director Hudgens, I hope we never have to put a decedent in a trailer by any means. However, during COVID, we had placed shelving in there where it would hold 64 decedents inside one trailer. That is set. They are still in place. Let's hope we never have to pull it or move it or have somebody in it. However, we do have to be cautious or conscious of how we're going to move forward. A lot of people don't like to talk about decedents or dead. However, we're going to have to make a plan of where we're going to go. We're growing so quick, and that's just one part of it.
So that plan would come from not your department, but
we would
Director
work
Hudgens
together,
and-
right,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
to make
Just-
sure the placement.
And again, God forbid that ever happens.
I agree.
Commissioner?
Precedent, I'm very familiar with one incident, and that being Waverly, from 40-some-odd years ago, something I'll never forget. We were a lot more primitive then, a whole lot more primitive then. A lot of those people will, if there were such an incident, would first go to a hospital, and in many cases to attempt to save their lives. So things will get distributed out and spread out, and like I said, we've got precedents and lessons learned that Mr. Chris has studied, no doubt, as well as most of these people here, that's happened across our state in times past. So I have no doubt we're in great shape, in my opinion, compared to things were many years ago. And we've had some close calls here. We had a derailment right here in downtown Murfreesboro years and years ago. Most people don't remember it. Unless you were involved in it, you don't remember it. But there have been a lot of close calls, and let's hope they continue to be close calls. But I don't have any doubt that we're well prepared, from communications to medical to morgue facilities, et cetera, to deal with this right now. Keep planning, training, and that's what these, if you read the report, you'll see training. As long as they keep doing that, things will get taken care of.
And back to the point, also, we have capabilities of reaching out to our state and federal partners that have what we call DMORT teams that can come in and assist us. And then our biggest issue is we have a lot of great talent here. It's the facility that we don't have to hold those decedents till they go to a funeral home, and that's where we run into where we kind of back up. And we don't want to do that. So we have to keep that in the back of our mind as we grow in Rutherford County. We got to keep, that facility in mind.
Director, before you step down, and Commissioner, you brought it up. Mr. Gurley, you said primitive in where we are today compared to 40 years ago. We've gone through a pandemic. And exactly what you said, we come very close. And you can walk to anybody within this county right now and ask them, can you take me to the county morgue? And they will immediately say to you what? Where is it? We don't have one. Rutherford County, approximately 350,000 people, does not have a county morgue. We don't have a city morgue. And I must tell you that back during that pandemic, I sat down here in this mayor's office at the courtroom as we sat here with our very new director who was just hired that day, and we sat there with our fire chief and our sheriff and several individuals talking all over the state, what do we do? And our director of our EMS. And we had individuals who made some comments about how we reacted to some of that and whatever, but yet they wasn't sitting there receiving this information from the CDC and all these different people about what was going to happen in Rutherford County. And I think the director could tell you this, they were scary. Scary to the point when you went home, you didn't go to sleep thinking what could happen here in Rutherford County, and we were pushing some of those envelopes. We kept wondering, and just the things you brought up right there, what do we do? And yes, we did make some efforts to take care of ourselves. And we were ready to go forward and to do some things. And thanks to the grace of God, we didn't have to do some of those things. That's all it was. But yet, even today, we need to be thinking, okay, what do we want to do? We've talked about the Forensic Center. And we've talked to several individuals about doing this and getting done. And we still talk about the Forensic Center. But we're at a time within a county of this size and where we are, we no longer need to talk. We're going to have to act one of these days and see what we do. Because just like us, everybody around us is growing too. And you know, it's amazing. It's amazing. And you know, we've got personnel in here like the sheriff's office and like the fire department and the EMS. Nobody talks about having a fire in the house until they have a fire in the house. Nobody thinks about, you know, what I've got to do for security until all of a sudden that happens, and then they say, oh, we got to call the sheriff's department. Well, when something happens like what you're talking about there, you've got to understand where we are sitting within this county. And I tell people we sit within a crosshair just like on a target. We've got 840 coming out here that I-24 crosses, and everything within the state of Tennessee sometimes goes between here. And besides that, a train track that runs through here too that carries everything known to man. We don't know what goes by out here. And now we're bringing industry in here that does it too. So I'll not get on my soapbox and say, you know, we got to do something and we got to move forward. But I will say we've got to do something, and it's important we think that way, and you're exactly right there. But we do have plans if something does happen. I mean, we're just not sitting here twiddling our thumbs saying, well, it's not going to happen again. No, we've been pushed to that point. We know what to do. We know what we have. We've made some things happen. We've changed some things out in the EMS where EMS is prepared to do some of these things. So we're there, but yet we're not where we ought to be. And I most definitely will. We need to work that way.
I would urge us to continue that conversation and not be talking about this 5 years from now.
I hope not.
Now, kind of what's in my head is we spend a lot of money on schools, which we should. We spend a lot of money on jail to house people, spend a lot of money on juvenile detention. We spend a lot of money on facilities, rightly so. I don't disagree with any of them. But I started thinking, if that was my wife or one of my kids or my parents or my in-laws or my niece, nephew, whoever, for the sake of the decedent, especially their families, we've got to put money in facility, because nobody in this room, I don't think, would want their loved one in a trailer. I may be wrong, but, you know, that's just my thought process, and I'll kind of leave that alone.
You're not wrong, and everybody thought this, but when you're pushed to the emergency where, you never know what's going to happen. But that's just for backup plan, whatever, and that's what we're talking about, a facility where families could be taken care of. Exactly. Director? We have his report approved.
Not yet.
We don't have a motion.
Motion to approve the report. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
I have
Carries.
a budget amendment.
Okay, sir.
It's our request to transfer $25,000 out of other contract services into 499 other supplies and materials. It's our hopes that we are able to place some more speakers in some EMS and fire stations so they can hear the call, and hopefully finish out the year with that line item.
Heard the request.
Move to approve.
Motion approved. Commissioner Gurley, have a second?
Second.
Second. Commissioner Rather. Call the roll.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Right, we move now into your budget.
Yes, sir. This year, there are a couple of requests that to hopefully push us forward there at Emergency Management. One is that we are requesting an admin assistant in line item 105. Also requesting a dispatcher for our communications center. As you saw, the call volume to handle in line item 148. In 708, and I don't mind going line by line by line, but these were the big increase line items. In 708, radio and for other agencies, we did have those listed in your in explanations to the right. That line item saw a significant jump, which we would be able to put 2 radios in ambulances and another one in an EMS admin car, and then portable radios for the fire department, and also an additional admin car. And then the last but not least, additional expenditure on 711, which we're requesting since, I believe, 2001, we have had the same console furniture at our communication center. We're still operating today. And it's our request that we replace that furniture. These are consoles that they work with every day. And then also we would redirect, we're still in those cubicles in a certain form that help our operation expand and make it more feasible to communicate with one another.
Are you talking about the building over adjacent to the school board?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any questions of, I wanted to point out those four additionals. And I'll be glad to answer any other questions that you may have.
The console furniture, that's furniture, not the consoles themselves that we just
Correct, it's
procured
the
under the
furniture. Yes, sir.
$17 million contract.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that price is listed on the explanation of $137,000. That's at 7-11.
Now, the last person up here said you had a wants and a needs. What you presented us, which is it, both?
I would consider it both. I think that our county needs that operational furniture to reestablish in there in that communication center. Right now, I don't know how many people's been in there, but it's kind of an X. And it's wore down. They're in it 24/7, 365. It's worn down. And also, as we do this, we'll make it more of a semicircle where the ladies and gentlemen can communicate amongst themselves as well. I'll welcome to, give tours or however you would like to see that. I feel that it's a great need, not only today, but for the future. It's been great furniture, but everything has a shelf life.
Got a question.
Yes, sir.
I was told earlier that we were going to budget to remove the Hudson Tower. Is that in here, or
It is
has
in
that
there.
been
It's in there.
under, do you know?
Yes, sir, it is. Should be under, believe contract services.
Oh, okay.
Currently, we pay $550 for that site,
Right.
basically. The tear down is, and this has came over the last couple of years, is $40,000. And as of today, some new news has come in. We may have found somebody that would want that and tear it down themselves, and it wouldn't cost us anything.
Yeah, I did some work on it before Peter left and ran into kind of a dead end. If you can get someone to take it down for $40,000, you'll be doing well. So,
I'm hoping I don't have to spend a dime. If they want it, they can take it.
well, if you can do that, more power to you. The
Yes, sir.
$40,000 can be well spent otherwise.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
I think it's been determined that there's no further need for that tower. Am I correct in that?
You are correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the thing that I'm having problems with is matching this with our older budgets before everything came in under the public safety directors. Because we've got a mismatch of EMS, EMA, fire, where, for instance, dispatchers were under EMS in the past. Part of the towers would be either
Correct.
fire or EMS or sheriff. So I'm having a problem asking for too much, but I haven't seen their budgets to compare what's being taken away that was charged to their budgets in the past. So I'm having a hard time looking at this at first glance.
Sure. I believe EMS presented their budget last public safety. You have fire that will come up, but I would dare to say you would have to lay that out on a kitchen table and compare those notes over a period of time.
Other discussion?
Chris, if I'm reading this right, you're asking for about 107,000 more
Yes,
from
sir.
last year's amended budget. Is that right?
That is correct, sir. So we've gone in there and eat pretty healthy on those budgets and things that we felt that were wants versus needs. And as you can see, that even with the increase is less than what the communications center's consoles would cost,
Well, two of the things that I
which is a cap.
agree with are the personnel that you've asked for, communications dispatcher, and then body for your area.
Yes, sir.
It's about 60 of the 100.
Yes, sir. And, we've blessed to have partners such as the Sheriff's Department and EMS and Fire that, we kind of worked as a team through COVID, along with public health. We got pretty inundated there in emergency management, and we pretty stressed those people out over there. But they did really well. But we've got to move forward, and I appreciate you pointing that out. The admin assistant is very vital, so that we have an individual there that's well trained, and we can get him out from underneath the desk and instead of answering phones and taking care of budgets.
I'd like to state that, I really don't know how, well, I do know how the department does it. You work a lot of hours. At least you did when I was there, and I think it's probably with the pandemic, I probably left well ahead of time. But I like to point out that the last time I checked, Williamson County has 18 employees. I don't know whether, I'm sure it hasn't decreased. I don't know whether it's increased. That was a year or two back. But they had 18 employees in the EMA department. We were talking about planning and training, and we don't have very many people. We can't plan. We can't get ahead of the game if we don't do. And there's certain functions that, in terms of planning and so on, and that have to be done if we're going to be ready for these events that Commissioner Rather was talking about, the possibility of. If we don't do that, then we are going to get caught off guard and not prepared. So to me, we should have increased the size of the department a long time ago in concert with the population growth. We're just way behind. So I fully support anything that we can do in that regard.
And the mayor did come and say, hey, this is a need. It's not a want, it's a need. And it's our hopes that our employees see these salary increases. However, with that, asking for that additional employee, admin assistant, and then an extra dispatcher, we feel that is vital, not only now, but for the growth of our county.
Chris, this is the final budget that you and the mayor had.
Yes.
Well, Chris, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to forward this to budget, but I'm not sold on everything here, especially on your communications equipment. I'm going to have to go over these, like I said, compare what we're looking at in Sheriff's, Fire, and EMS.
Sure.
I'll make that motion to go ahead and forward it.
I'll
Have a
second
motion.
that.
Have a second. Commissioner Gurley, call the roll.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Going to walk in now to the ambulance report. I think they've already done their budget. Their report now.
Good evening. Commissioner, I tell you that if all the information that you want to know about your first question you asked, Carl and Denise would be happy to sit down and bring you up to speed on all of that. You sounded like them up here talking. That's the things they think about every day. On the 911 side, we did 3,364 calls for the month, 40 transfers, response time of 7.4, 104 DOAs for the month, 25 autopsies, total year-to-date autopsies of 216, for a total amount of $423,360. Collections were up a little bit this month. We kind of getting in the flow with our new billing company, and things are looking better each month. Total between convalescent and 911, we collected over $1 million for the month. There's some in-service training, some medical events that we did for the month. The convalescent side did 414 calls, collected $149,790. The year-to-date projected is, it's over previous years. So I think all of that is heading in the right direction. A couple of letters from hospitals on different calls, and that's my report.
Motion to approve the report.
Motion made to approve the report. Second. We have second. Commissioner Sereno, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Report is approved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, fire and rescue.
For the month of March, Rutherford County Fire Rescue ran 588 calls, 314 medical calls, 8 structure fires, 42 MVAs with 1 extrication. Year to date, we've ran 1,757 calls. Your total call volume for the county and the volunteers was 2,198 calls, with 40 structure fires, 63 brush fires, 23 illegal burns, 22 vehicle fires, a total of 311 MVAs with 4 extrications. The document that's sent to the codes department shows 3 homes that were damaged by fire. A lot of times when you see structure fires, those are not all homes. Sometimes you have outbuildings and barns and stuff that is considered a structure, so that's why the structure number is high, but this right here is low. 5 free smoke alarm installations, and then you have the fire marshal's report. And then the illegal burn report. And that concludes my report, and I have 2 budget amendments.
Question on the report? Have a motion to approve the report? Commissioner Rather, motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Sereno, seconds. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries to approve the report. I believe you have some amendments.
Yes, sir. The first one is I'm requesting $43,725 out of the county fuel line item for diesel. I'm requesting $3,150 for gasoline.
Okay,
And you want to do them both?
I think they're different.
Yeah.
They're different. We'll just do them separately.
Okay.
I think we already have Commissioner P.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the gasoline transfers.
Okay, motion to approve the amendment on the gasoline. To have a second?
Second.
Second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. I believe you have one dealing with pay.
Second one is we're to remove our part-time money, a increase of $12,398, and then of course $1,260 out of that is for pensions, and that's moving the part-time pay over to overtime.
Have a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Mr. Gurley moves to approve. Have a second? Second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. It's approved. Have your budget tonight, right?
Yes, sir. If you look down to line item 169, part-time personnel, we're having trouble to actually get people to work part-time. So Mayor said if I could justify it, and he said he felt like I did. We're taking $45,000 out of the $55,000 for part-time personnel. If you take the $45,000 and multiply that by 25 sets of turnout gear at $4,000, that's $100,000 worth of turnout gear. And so that's like $145,000 total. And so I swapped that out to add one additional person. What this will do is give us a float person on each shift who will cover for those who are out on vacation, sick, or Kelly Day. I did go up on our overtime from $120,000 to $125,000. And then if you look down in other wages and salaries, the mayor wanted me to add 15 firefighters. And so this includes actually 16 with the additional float person for the Rockville station to man it. Then if you look down at line out, let's see, the rest of it's just pension, health insurance, and disability, and Medicare. If you look down in line 307, communications, last year that line item was $53,183. This year it's $38,683. What the mayor had, what the OIT has done is taken all the wireless internet and telephones, all the things they handle out of my budget, and they're going to put all that in their budget. So that's a decrease in that line item. The 317 is same as it was last year. Went up a little bit on the dues and memberships. And then evaluation and testing is our line item that we do all of our training in. I went from 43,939 to 44. Our copy machine is the same. If you notice, building maintenance is highlighted. The mayor also consolidated all the buildings maintenance that I had $60,000 allotted for, and he's moving that into the maintenance budget for Adam Dodd. So they will be handling all the maintenance on all the county buildings. So if we have an issue, we call them, and they will be in charge of repairing those issues. I went up on a little bit, and basically a lot of this is just inflation on repair of extrication equipment, small pumps, and motors. As y'all have seen through with the apparatus, the report I put forth in December, I believe it was, we've gone from, I went from $160,000 to $200,000 for repair of our apparatus. This is all county-owned apparatus that we own, that we operate, and the county volunteers operate. And I think that's like 24 vehicles of this large apparatus. Went up on the conferences and stuff from 5,000 to 8,000 because we have a fire marshal now, and there's certain conferences he has to attend for continuing education. Cleaning supplies is the same, 6,000. Of course, I went up from 66,000 to 70,000 on diesel fuel. That's being conservative, really. And then gasoline went from 16,800 to 17,000. And then I went up on our fire and medical textbooks and fire prevention supplies. Really, that's just most of that. The addition of that will be for fire prevention, for our fire marshal to work in some of our schools. Office supplies is the same. Uniforms is the same. And that is actually includes the 15 people for the new station. Water and electricity and propane has gone up. Propane is actually gone up a lot. And then went up a little bit on our miscellaneous supplies. If you drop down to 724, that's site development. Back during the hard freeze of the winter, the sort building, special operations over on Fortress, water got up under the asphalt. Actually, when the building was built, the asphalt was really thin. Water got up under the asphalt and it froze and it busted all that asphalt up. We looked at trying to get that repaired. I brought Greg Brooks in, the county highway department. He looked at it and he said that with the weight of the trucks, he didn't feel like asphalt would hold up. That it would have to be concrete. But he said what we need to do before we even move forward is we need to core drill that to see what kind of base is up under that asphalt, see what's under there. Because he said that there's a special type of asphalt, I think, that we're putting in the convenience center that might hold those big trucks. But he said before he would determine what we need to do, he'd want to core drill that. So I have a price there because I know how to quote it. So that's something we're going to have to be looking at down the road. And then special operations, our hazmat equipment, our dive equipment, and all of our special operations equipment, I went from $90,000 to $118,300 on that. Total is $5,674,870. And this is pretty much a needs budget. I'll answer any questions if you have any.
I didn't see any increase in the volunteers this time. What's your amount that you're spending? The 5 stations you're counting now?
Pardon?
Counting 5 stations, volunteers now? Or
There's Lascassas, Kittrell, Allenville, Christiana, and Eagleville. And I think the mayor's going to make a recommendation on that later.
Well, he can. I'm going to go ahead and make one now. I'd like to see 20,000 per station, per volunteer group added to that budget.
That changing it from the 60? I mean, adding to the 60?
20 more. You know, you've got
80,000.
300,000 is the total between the 5 right now. So that'd be another 100,000 for the 5. If you say 20,000 per.
They're getting 6,000 apiece, so you want to put that 80,000 apiece?
I said 20,000
For all of them.
apiece. For all of them, that'd be 100,000.
So we have you're counting 5 volunteer fire departments?
Yes, sir. You have Eagleville, Lascassas, Skiffle, Christiana, and Allenville.
Well, I thought Eagleville was a city fire department.
Well, they are, but they still receive funds.
We have a contract, we have a side contract with them, basically, is that they protect that end. That's what that is with Eagleville. They're not basically considered a 5013C.
Okay.
Of course, that's my recommendation. You know, mayor may have something else in mind, but
So he may talk to you about that.
I can second Commissioner P's
Have a motion.
motion on that.
Have a motion and have a second. Any further discussion? Roll.
Commissioner P,
yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to send the amended budget forward to the Budget Committee.
I was just going to ask if this was going to go with a favorable recommendation with the
With the amended
$100,000
amount, with the added
increase.
amount to it.
Okay.
And I'll second that also.
Further discussion?
Yeah, I would like to make one comment. I brought this up for quite a few years since I've been on public safety. And I still think it's worth considering. Too late, I think, this year, possibly, maybe or maybe not, because I think the statue's already there. We don't have to go back and so on. But I've said all along that the fairest way to fund the fire service and the county in the unincorporated areas, we need to point out that we cannot double tax the citizens of the municipalities that already are provided fire service, such as Murfreesboro, Smyrna, and Laverne, is to enact a fire tax. The benefit of that is offset, the cost of that is offset by the benefit of a much lower insurance premium. If you go out here into some of these counties where the fire service is almost non-existent, and the ISO is so high, it's basically you don't have fire service, then the insurance premiums, even on a modest home, are enormous. And by keeping the insurance premiums down, it's a more than offset, it's a multiple offset. If you look at it, the cost on a typical home in Rutherford County of having a good ISO rating versus not having it. You'll pay several times over in insurance premiums versus what the additional tax will be. And I think we need to explain that to people, and I think we need to go that way. That being said, that's being said.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. You'll call the roll.
Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Got you? Okay. All right. I believe we're ready for the sheriff. That's your report, and I believe we got one budget item too. Sure.
As of this morning, we had 656 inmates incarcerated in the jail. All of our line items looking good right now. All I have on the report.
Motion to approve the report.
Motion's
Mr.
approved,
Chairman.
been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Sereno. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Report is approved. I believe you have your budget.
We have one amendment we have to do. Recognize revenue received from a weapons trade for seized and surplus weapons. We received $36,575. I'd like to put $10,000 of that into in-service line item and the remaining $26,575 into our law enforcement equipment.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve. Commissioner Gurley, have a second.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Rather. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley? Yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Chairman Reed?
Yes. Approved.
Thank you. Chairman, would you like to go through the special purpose line items first, or just go through the order of the spreadsheet on the budget?
What do you want to do, Commissioners? Want to look at the changes, or what you?
I'll say let him run through his sheet here.
Okay. And we added an extra sheet in there where we made some changes after we sent the original up to courthouse. Our Sheriff's Office total budget is $33,740,676, which is an increase of $2,818,330. That is including 17 additional positions, be 3 deputies to remove the 3 sergeants out of the permanent school placement in the schools for absent officers. That way we can always have SROs in the schools. 1 patrol sergeant to oversee a traffic unit. 6 patrol deputies assigned to traffic. 4 criminal and civil deputies. They'll be cross-trained. 1 training deputy. 1 juvenile crime detective, and an IT public safety specialist. Employees be $1,244,659. If you want me to stop on anything, please let me know. The sufficient increases, communications is an increase of $44,400. Our ring down lines to MPD are $5,050 per month. It's a big increase over the last year. Data processing service, an increase of $89,300. The operating lease payments, increase of $800,000. This includes 30 new vehicles, includes the 3 prior year of lease only payments. And upfit costs increased due to supply chain issues and labor costs. Last year, we didn't get our vehicles in time before the end of the budget, so the money that we had allotted for them went back into the budget, so we're a year behind on that, and this should cover it. Gasoline increased $50,000 to be a total of $675,000, and we'll still be monitoring it, making sure we got enough for the prices of gas increase. Vehicle parts, $10,000. Data processing equipment increase of $39,000. Law enforcement equipment increase of $58,600. And that increase includes 3 dual-purpose canines, and including training the handler and the canines. We've got 2 dogs we have to retire, and we've already have 1 dog we retired. We're replacing it. That includes the Sheriff's Office, the side of the budget.
This, as the mayor and sheriff sit down with this, is this something that, since the mayor's not here tonight, is this something they've already hammered out together?
We've talked to the mayor, but we haven't made any agreements or anything like that. We're going to discuss again before we come to budget.
So as far as these positions go, some of those are still tentative, is what you're saying?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
On your vehicles, probably just wording on that 330 operating lease.
Yes, sir.
I assume that's leased. You got 30 new vehicles. I assume that's leased vehicles, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And then what did you say was your gasoline line item? I've got 25,000 here. I thought
It's an increase of 50,000. We made a change on that since we moved the budget, and it'll be a total of 675,000.
I can certainly understand that.
Yes, sir.
I saw on your the copper line increase. I was told that by someone else here recently. The
Yes, sir.
AT&T's just gone through the roof with anything copper.
Yes, sir.
But something you might want to look at, since we have the new radio system, is a dedicated talk group on the consoles or in some separate thing or something that would, since we have a high reliability on the radio system, I'd say as reliable as the copper line is. And so that's just a thought. There's other push-to-talk over voice over IP type of things. And
Yes, sir,
I'm sure you're looking at that. But yeah, I was told the other day that all these POTS lines have gone just crazy. And
Yes, sir, they
so
have.
So keep looking.
And we're looking at alternate
Yeah.
things. Sorry.
If you don't mind, I can address that. That's already being looked at, Commissioner, and there is an alternative that we're working with 911 and the Motorola. We're waiting on the Motorola engineer to come to 911, but Cassie feels like that we've got a solution to that where we can eliminate the copper.
Sheriff, before you go back and sit down, of course, we're talking right now on the office budget summary. Is there anything you want to say on this? I noticed you got 17 full-time positions. That's somewhere up there pretty more than what you've normally had in it, or?
Well, we have each year we have cut positions due to looking at the budget, and of course one of the things, the reason we cut is we were looking for increases for our people. We were willing to negotiate with the mayor each year, and in that I would rather see our people get raises than I would to bring on additional people. And so that's what we've been willing to do. The numbers that we've got right now, we still are in negotiation with the mayor. They're not finalized numbers by any means, but since he was not here tonight, we did discuss it, and we would go ahead and present our budget, but with the understanding that we were going to go back with the mayor and have additional discussion on the people.
Yeah, I have one question along that regard, and I fully support any increase in patrol positions. I think we've gone, as fast as we're growing, we're behind in that regard. Can you give me some reasoning of why assigning these 7 people to traffic?
Okay, traffic would be a dual purpose, would be also for interdiction and traffic. It'd be a dual purpose function. One of the things that we are in dire need of right now is traffic. We're getting calls daily about the traffic situation, not only on the county roads, but the interstate. Of course, primarily we're looking at county roads where we're getting the complaints. This is getting to be a daily situation about the traffic situation. So that was one of the things we looked at very hard and decided that it's something at least we need to try to make a move on.
I think one of the problems, is going to be the roads themselves. The Smyrna took in 2.5 miles of State Route 102, right, and they patrol that pretty heavily, but there's almost no spot along that roadway that you can stop a vehicle without endangering the officer's life as well as the people who are stopped and those coming on that. So I think it's going to be a joint venture between not only law enforcement but improving the infrastructure, because as you and I both know, there's so many roads out here where law enforcement simply, they may see what's going on, but they just simply cannot safely do anything about it. And even on my street, which Smyrna patrols constantly, as soon as they are gone for 5 minutes, there's somebody doing 75 miles an hour down through there, and sometimes in the school zone. And, so it's I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Well, my thoughts on that is what we train our people to do is to pick your spot when you're going to stop somebody. And it may be that you'll have to follow for quite a ways before you find that spot to do that. I agree with you. There's some county roads that it would be almost next to impossible without the safety of our officer being in jeopardy. We've seen that on the interstate in the last year. We lost 6 cars being rear-ended who were working accidents. They were clearly off of the road, and of course blue lights in instances attract people. Of those 6 accidents, 1 inattentive driving was arrested, and then 5 were arrested for DUI. So we have that danger. Our people are constantly in danger on these stops, even where you've got an access to get off of the road. And it's something we're very cognizant of. But on the other hand, speeding is dangerous, and we've got to slow these cars down. I had an instance where I had one come around me. It took me 3 miles to catch him, and he was well over 117 miles an hour. And that's unfortunately a daily occurrence.
You're right about that. Thank you.
Anything else anyone has seen in here? I did see where we're looking at 3 new dogs.
Yes, sir. Captain Spence explained we've had 1 retired, and we've got 2 more retiring. So these would be replacements. They're not additional. They'd be replacements for 3.
Replacing those
yes,
that are.
Yes, sir.
I was looking at that to the fact that some people may look in here and see what the cost on that, but if you know what a dog can save as far as officers having to go in and do what the dogs have to do at times, and what they do to find and locate individuals, they do a great job, and they're well worth every penny we spend.
Well,
on
they're
those.
dual-purpose dogs. A lot of people think they're bite dogs, but they're not. They're dual-purpose, and we use them on searching for missing people, Alzheimer's, and so forth. It's been proven dogs can go where an officer cannot, and they've been very successful in situations like that.
Very much so. Any other questions before we move further on the Sheriff's Office budget summary?
I just want to clarify that that's Major Spence.
I've known him too long.
Most people think his first name was Captain.
He didn't know it. I demoted him before he came up here. So.
He's already cutting the budget.
Appreciate that.
We'll take this, of course, we take the sheriff's budget in 2 parts, This is the office budget. Any other questions?
Or since they're still talking, do we send it on the budget or wait till changes are made?
Do what?
All right, so this budget, Sheriff said, was still in negotiations with the mayor. Does this go ahead and go to budget anyway?
It's primarily what is in negotiation with the mayor is they're talking about the salaries, I believe what we're talking about there. And that's what that's primarily what we're dealing with there. And that's still, that will be ongoing anyways. It goes to the budget committee from there. That's what we're talking about there. But what we're looking at tonight are all these right in here. But for those who are wondering where the mayor is tonight, he is in Warren County. He is at the Solid Waste Regional Meeting, along with some of your others. I know Commissioner Phillips is there, as well as several other commissioners went to that meeting there. So we had too many things going, too many irons in the fire tonight, so they went there to take care of those particular things. But I had spoke with the mayor earlier this morning, on a lot of these, and he said he had approved what is being presented tonight. Do we have a motion to approve the office budget?
I'll make a motion to move this forward to budget without a recommendation. Like I said, this is still being negotiated, so that's my motion.
Motion's been made.
I'll second that.
Second, Commissioner Gurley, call the roll.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Go now to the jail.
Yes, sir.
We'll go to the jail budget. We're not going to jail.
Right. Our total budget for request for the jail is $23,290,708, an increase of $1,731,655, an 8% increase. Requesting 19 personnel for detention. That's 11 deputies, 3 booking clerks, a maintenance deputy, 1 sergeant, and 3 corporals. The personnel request is $1,122,693. The other contracted, the medical care, Juvenile we did go through purchasing and received that bid. It went from $7.9 million originally to down to $6.9, a decrease of $978,000. Food service, an increase of $52,000. And that covers that the jail budget.
Do you have a dollar figure on how much per man per day or per prisoner per day that meal cost works out to?
Yes, right now it's $1.15 a meal. Yeah, yes, sir.
So that's 3 per day.
Yes, sir. Then you include your snacks. I can get you better numbers on those later on.
Well, you'll get to it in a minute. I'll
These numbers are based on current salaries, right?
Yes, sir.
Is there any major upgrades or anything? I know we had to do here last year or the year before, we had to do new generator and stuff like that. Are there major things in here?
No, sir. Everything was taken care of.
Okay.
Yes.
Had the dryer situation taken care of? That's all been?
Yes, sir. Matter of fact, today the county received the check from the insurance company, and we've met with the mayor and presented to purchasing to have National Laundry to come and replace the washers and the dryers. $198,000. Yeah, I think that's right. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's been taken care of, and it's going to use the in-fund ballots to take care of it.
Other questions?
Major, I've been fumbling for it. I saw it a minute ago, and I can't find it again. It's a revenue sheet. I just had a question about the monies receiving revenues from the state now.
Yes, sir. I'm looking from revenue sheet.
While he's looking, I'm going to make a comment. Having been on public safety for a number of years, and the amount of time that we've had to spend on the public safety budgets, we would have special meetings almost for every department. And improvement, most of that's got to do with administration and the sheriff's department working together well. I want to commend both the mayor's office and the sheriff's department for putting together a budget not so complex, because in the past we looked at each individual department, each want for every one of them, and we would spend a month, sometimes 6-8 hours per meeting.
We spend entire meetings just on one department. Absolutely.
Commissioner, the only revenue sheet I have in here is the court fees and so forth.
I was wondering the revenues as far as what the state's giving us per head now. Do you know what that is?
Preble, can you help? The state cost per inmate. Okay. And there also was a motion where parole violations, where if we pick some out parole, I believe Sheriff, they'll start paying us for those too.
Well, my point of even asking that was, you got cost avoidance there by not having them, but then you have certain fixed costs that are going to be there regardless. And if you don't have that amount of manpower in there that the state's paying for, those revenues aren't available. So that's kind of two-edged sword.
Yes, yes, sir, correct.
Questions?
I'm going to move that we send this on to budget. We've been talking about the need to increase officers in the jail for several years now. We keep pushing it aside or dibble-dabbling with it. If we can fund it, I'm for it. And that's Chairman P's committee to dig into it over the next several nights during the month of May, and give us some good numbers. But you know, the safer we can make it for everybody who's working out there. It's not a job that anyone gets commended for, but they get criticized for when things don't go quite so well. So I move to approve and send on to budget with the favorable recommendation from this committee.
And the motion has been made. Commissioner Gurley, approval of the jail budget. Have a second. Second. Commissioner Radler, call the roll.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Under the drug fund, drug enforcement, only increase is the transfer to other funds is going up to $94,248 on the transfers. Last few years we've had it at $50,000.
A bunch of these others, some of these are things that we just go through and we don't really know exactly what's going to happen until next year.
Yes,
but
sir.
we've got to vote on them and move them forward in order to take place. And then we'll come back probably in August or September and vote on again once we know exact numbers. So
yes.
that's just for information for people listening.
Okay.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve and forward to budget the drug enforcement budget.
I'll second that.
Motion made to approve the drug enforcement and second it. Call the roll.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Drug enforcement's approved. I believe we're into what, transfers?
Yes, sir. That was the increase in 50,000 up to 94,248. I apologize for that.
This transfers budget is the same. The way
We talked to Lisa Nolan today and to covering the overtime for narcotics. We added some more money, just make sure we covered on that narcotics would take care of their overtime, which raised it up 44,248. We didn't get it till late today, so we didn't get to do the update on the sheets.
And this is just on the transfers budget.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
Motion to approve transfers to other funds is what this primarily is. Commissioner P, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gurley, call the roll.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Special purposes, Sheriff's Department.
Yes, sir. Special purpose, only confidential drug enforcement, no increase. It's at $20,000.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve. Commissioner Gurley.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Sereno, call the roll.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Revenue estimate worksheet. Any explanation there?
No, sir. In case one has questions, it's
Question on that worksheet, I don't think there's necessary that we go from there to administration of sex offender registry.
yes, sir.
General?
82,000.
General fund.
Yes, sir. 82,746.
I'll make a motion to recommend. This was a positive recommendation forward to budget.
Motion been made to approve. Have a second.
Second.
Second. Commissioner Wright, call the roll.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Special patrols.
Yes, sir. 43,370. It remains $40 an hour per deputy. We switched from 10-hour shifts to 8-hour shifts to be 115 shifts that they will work in the summer.
Night watchman, is that right, or
It's our lake patrol.
night patrols?
Yes, sir, on the marinas and boat ramps.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and make a motion for approval and to forward this. These last three have been reductions, 3 of them, so.
A motion made to approve.
I'll second that.
Second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Mr. P,
Yes.
Mr. Rather,
Yes.
Mr. Gurley,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Any other questions that you might have for the major? Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask for one final motion to approve the entire budget as been presented. Sent on to the Budget and Finance Committee. Have the motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Mr. Gurley,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Thank you. I think that was a total, what, 36 new employees or
Yes, sir.
addition to the staff?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Other business? Comments? If not, I move we are adjourned.